Buckeye Nation, and welcome to the Morning Scoop for Tuesday, October 4th. My name is Ryan McClincy, and with me today is the one and only Kirk Barton. But before we get into all of that, just be sure to like this video, give us a 5-star review, and if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe by pressing that subscribe button here at the bottom. That way, you can keep up with all the Ohio State content you crave. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get you that Buckeye fix for today. So, Kirk, welcome. How are you doing today?
Doing great, man. It's a big week for these guys. They got Michigan State first road game, and then after that, their favorite week of the year, the bye week. So I've been in their shoes. I know how they're feeling. One more game. It should be a decent test going on the road. Obviously, Michigan State's not very good, but you never know in a road game. Obviously, I have no thoughts that we'd ever lose this game, but it'll be exciting. These guys get to go up there, and then they get to get a week to kind of kick it for a little bit and relax and heal up. And it's always a good part of the season for these guys.
Yeah, no, bye weeks, I'm sure, especially, getting into a lot of like the conference play, you're beat up a lot. I mean, I know obviously we've got some injuries, as a team, and we want to get guys healthy to prepare for kind of those bigger stretches. Penn State, Iowa's going to be a battle too, I'm sure, in the trenches. So getting everybody healthy. I'm curious, since you mentioned it too, like just with the bye week, like what is that, as you kind of approach the bye week, what are kind of in the players' heads as it comes up, and how do you kind of mitigate some of that going into a big game, especially the first true road game of the season?
Well, it's a tough challenge, especially with some of the younger guys, because a lot of these guys that are from maybe from Florida, Texas, Georgia, a lot of them are going to be booking flights to go home next week. I would imagine Ryan Day is going to let them leave on Thursday night, give them Friday, Saturday off. They got to be back in the building around noon on Sunday, noon or 3 o'clock on Sunday, get their first workout in. But it's always a distraction, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad distraction. I think it's something where, if you're Ryan, you could really throw them a bone, so to speak, and say, hey, if you guys go hard, we play well, then I'll let you guys get out here on Thursday. If not, I'm going to practice you on Friday. You're not going to give us time. But, the kids, they all like to go back. They all like to see their high school games. They all like to be a college football fan on Saturday, which is something I used to love, like our bye week. You sit and you just watch the games on Saturday and kind of see how it's going. And it's fun. And for some of the people that were down in Southwest Florida, obviously, anyone that was affected by the hurricane, I'm sure that there's guys that would like to get down and see their families if possible. I'm not even sure it's possible right now with how it looks like a war zone down there after Hurricane Ian. But it'll be interesting to see how Ryan handles it. I think that given the injury circumstance, the bye week's always a great time to put the screws to the young guys and really practice them hard and scrimmage them and keep them sharp. But give some of those older guys a little bit of time off just so that they can heal up and get ready for what I think will be a very physical stretch run. Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head, especially for guys like Jackson Smith and Jigba trying to get back into form, and some of those older guys. I didn't even realize with the younger guys what kind of difficulties come up with there. I'm sure you're also telling them to like try and block out some of the noise, because there's a lot of it out there on Twitter and just from watching games and et cetera. So keeping them focused, definitely a main priority. But looking backwards now, just had Rutgers. It was a really strange game to me. I've rewatched it now a couple times. I'm sure you have as well. I know you've done your film breakdowns, et cetera. But to me, it was a really strange game. It didn't feel like the typical team that we're used to under Ryan Day. Obviously, very run focused. CJ Stroud, not a huge game from a statistical standpoint. But I'm curious, kind of your thoughts on why you think that the game script went the way that it did, and why this kind of just felt like a really non-Ryan Day coached game. I think that it was a game where you knew that, when you're playing against a team that's such a severe underdog, they're 40-point underdogs. They're going to be trying things like onside kicks. They're going to be trying things like blocking punts late. It's going to be, I don't want to say it's going to be chippy, but it's like one of those games where the team is so undermanned compared to, Ohio State. They're going to try, they have to move. They have nothing to lose. I mean, nobody expects them to win the game. So they're going to be trying all kinds of crazy things. They get a little bit of momentum early and then up 7-0. But I think it was good to two things I liked. We held a lot of guys that I think could have played, like Travion. He got held last minute. We're still holding a couple corners, obviously Jackson Smith and Jigba. The benefit to playing in the Big Ten, frankly, is you have to get ready to beat about 2 teams a year, usually Michigan and somebody else. So Rutgers, Michigan State, you can hold a bunch of guys, and you just got to win the game by 1 point to continue to march towards the playoffs. But the team's been snake bitten, so we're lucky we play in a conference that's pretty soft, and it's easy to get to. Penn State. Obviously, we're going to need to be as close to full strength as we can be with Jackson, and some of these guys are being held, and then obviously Michigan, you got to have everybody ready to rock. But I liked that, and I liked that we were able to actually have a workhorse back in Mayan Williams, where we actually was able to be the guy, which, we get a little substitution and rotational happy sometimes, where these guys can't ever really focus and get a feel of the game. It would drive me nuts. I was lucky to play offensive line where there is no substituting. You play the entire game once you're a starter if it's a close game. And, we get a little sub happy with our running backs. I think some of these guys would like to get 20, 25 carries, get hit a little bit. And when I played with Beanie Wells, and I mean, they didn't sub for Beanie very much, and Antonio Pittman, and it's just, I think it's better that way, because these guys really like to get in the rhythm of things, because there's nothing worse than playing a couple plays and then watching and getting cold and then having to go back in and wondering if you're going to be in the next drive or not. Like, I think mine got into a nice groove, and he had a fantastic day.
Yeah, no, I actually was thinking about it after the fact too, and I was curious, to have seen what Trevion Henderson would have done in a similar game, right, where he takes all of the carries, and a team like Rutgers, where granted it's not Missouri, of course, but a team like that where he can really be that bell cow and see what he'd be able to do and see the numbers that he's able to put up. Rotating out, I think, is really great for their long-term health, especially coming playoff time. But mine, fantastic job on Saturday. Really curious kind of what Trevion would have done, but we'll see that eventually too. I do think, mine's draft stock has shot up a lot this season so far, with just how much he's been able to impact and play and play really well. So definitely happy to see that and see him being successful. From I guess kind of just other success standpoint, what was some of the biggest takeaways or the biggest thing, position group maybe that you felt was really the most dominant, other than kind of the individual contributor there?
Well, I thought the offensive line they played extremely well, given Rutgers, the amount of movement they were trying to throw. They were blitzing, they were stemming their fronts, they were doing all kinds of things to make it hard on the offensive line, and it didn't really affect them. I thought Paris played exceptionally well, like he has been. These guys they're fitting up, and again, they're not playing Georgia or a team that's going to be a real tough assignment, but they're still blocking them. They're getting in front of them. They're doing a great job. I think they're getting better every week, which is good as we get into the stretch. I think that they're the 2 most important units to me when you go on the road to the offensive line and the defense, and you need that big tough running game on the road, especially if it and I'm not projecting it for what you say, but if it rains or inclement weather, you need to pack your toughness, which is your running game and your defense. And it'll be exciting to see these guys go on the road and have to deal with a crowd that I don't think will be terribly hostile, but it'll be a nice little warm up for Penn State, which generally is severely hostile when it's a night game. It'll likely be a noon kickoff. So we kind of luck out there for Penn State. The schedule sets up just amazingly for Ohio State up to the midway point and through the stretch. So be interesting to see what these guys can do with it.
Yeah, I was looking at Penn State's schedule, because I think they did their whiteout game for Minnesota this year, right before the Ohio State game, and that's not necessarily looking like a cakewalk anymore that they probably thought it would be going into it. I know they want to win a whiteout game as badly as anybody, but no, I think to that point too, especially a team like Iowa, being able to win a game that's a little bit against the standard script, being able to physically overpower and move. I think that'll be, a really important piece for a game like that, especially. And, Michigan, of course, is going to be tough anyways. But Definitely liked what I saw from a lot of the units. Um, but what I guess going into the first true road game of this season, obviously we talked a little bit about the bye week and preparing for that. But first true road game, younger guys, how do you? What would your message be? You're Ryan Day. You're in the locker room. What are you telling this team? What did we learn from Rutgers in order to get a little bit better and prepare for that road environment this week?
I think these guys have all played road games before in high school. It's a little different when you have to fly up to Michigan State, stay at a different hotel that's not as nice as the Blackwell that we normally
Yeah,
stay at. You got to kind of manage yourself. Thankfully, it's a relatively early game. It's not a night game, which makes it nicer because you can get home at a decent hour. But as it gets, like I said, it's football. You guys have played it all over the place, all over the country. Growing up, traveling, travel ball, high school. It's no different. It's just college, but I think they got to handle the crowd, which at Michigan State, given how it's different when you're going to an environment where the fans actually think they can win versus a game like
yeah,
this where you're going up to Michigan State and their fans just think they're going to get slaughtered because they're just not very good. I mean, they're in the lower three. Between 10 to 14 in pretty much every category on offense and defense. So not a lot of strength there. I think that they know that we're going to put on a show. The aerial attack will be flying. I think that they see the big O line come off the ball and they're reeling. So I think it could get ugly quick. I think that the goal is to make it ugly quick and
hmm
get these starters out and get some of these backups in on the road just to get them some experience.
I think we're in for another 49-0 halftime lead like last year.
I think that could easily be the case.
Yeah,
I think that they were much better last year when they had
yeah,
Kenneth Walker the third, and they had they came into that game and that was a really big time. Yeah, no, I didn't see it because I study their guys and I know the type of talent they have, and I knew that they were in for a long day against Ohio State. I thought it could get ugly. It did get ugly,
hmm
and when you play some of these teams that are really ridiculous. I mean, you can't get behind when you're a running team like they are Wisconsin or whatever. So it's going to be interesting. So I think Ryan's whole strategy is get up big early, which it's every football coach's strategy. But he's going to take shots. He's going to go deep. He's going to get on the board and just crush these guys so that they get out of the rhythm because they all want to run the ball. They all want to control the clock. And, when you're down 21-0, all that goes out the window. Then you're just scrambling. And frankly, most of these teams we play in the Big Ten, they can't throw the ball. They don't have
yeah.
skill at the receiver position and they don't have a skilled quarterback. So outside of Purdue, the Big Ten is absolutely putrid at throwing the ball. And it makes our life really easy once we get up by a bunch.
Yeah. Also good to know with some of the secondary health concerns and just kind of lapses that we've had so far this year. But they've held their own. They've done their part, and I expect that they'll get better, especially as the season goes on. Not getting tested as much either on the outside, but. That kind of puts me into then the scoop stickers segment for today. So, if you're not familiar, scoop stickers, who do we give helmet stickers to after the week? And I'm going to start it off with the most obvious choice, the most obvious sticker to give, which is of course Jesse Mirco. I mean, you got to give the man a sticker for that run and the hit. I mean, he took a hit, he took a pop.
Yeah, and I mean he was heads
Who would
up,
be
and
your first scoop sticker to give
I
out
think
for this
Jesse's
week?
great. I mean, obviously, mine's the guy that pretty much unanimously would give us stickers to having the big day, the 5 touchdown day. I think Jesse putting that on film is never a bad thing. The fact that he will take off and
Yeah,
run with it if you try to overload or try to do something, he's not a robot. He will go take the free. I call it free money when there's no one around
oh yeah,
and you can just run to the first down. Do it. It's something I wish that CJ Stroud, frankly, would do more. And defensively, I thought that Zach Harrison showed up. He played really well at
mm,
three technique. They moved him inside on passing downs, and I think that his length gives guards some issues because
yeah,
he's so tall. He's got long arms, and most guards are shorter armed guys. They're not as tall as tackles are, and I think that could be a home for him. I think that at the next level, he could turn into like a Draymond type guy, Draymond Jones. And, Zach's biggest issue is he's generally light off the ball. He's not much of a pass rusher, and he doesn't bend well off the edge. But when you're playing three technique, you don't really have to do that as much. You can be taller, deflect passes, affect the quarterback. And I think that, it would be great if that became his new home. Maybe not permanently, because I don't think we're deep enough at defensive end to do that unless some of these young guys start stepping up over the next few weeks. But I think, from an NFL perspective, I think a 3-4 defensive end or a 3-tech defensive tackle, like William Golson, a guy that was at Michigan State in 2012, a guy that I thought was a decent player. He's played 10 years in the league. He's been in playing for the Buccaneers. He played last night. And, I think that's what Jonathan Harrison could turn into. Now, Golson was a lot bigger, stronger, but he wasn't as fast as Zach Harrison is, but similar frames, taller, lanky, and guys that, frankly, I thought both should have been more productive, like to this point in their careers. And like I said, William Golson's made a great living being a kind of a 3-technique, run down defensive end, pass down 3-technique defensive tackle in the league. And I think that's what Zach could turn into.
Yeah, no, I think I think everybody had really high expectations. So it's been kind of, rough to see the lack of production over the first few years, but I definitely think he's coming into his own. That forced fumble that he had was great technique. I mean, he got around, stripped it, and was in a great position. He was in solid position all night. The other person that I would really give one to would be Steel Chambers. Tommy Eichenberg played great. Obviously, Steel led the team in tackles, had that interception. Had a lot of quarterback hurries and was really in great position and able to close really well on the outside for the entire game. And he was one that really flashed a lot. So he would be another sticker that I would give out from this game alongside Zach Harrison. But from, I guess, on the offensive side, other than Mayan, anybody that you would hand one out to?
Thought Paris did great. He was outstanding at Emeka. I think Emeka's our best wide receiver at this point in the season. So I'd go Paris and Emeka. Emeka's just been real dynamic. He's a guy that I frankly don't want to see him returning punts, even though I think he's our best kick returner, just because we are so thin at the receiver spot with Jackson being perpetually hurt. Having Marvin and Emeka, I would hate for one of them to get hurt on special teams when you have so many young players, so many dynamic players that could be doing that. So it's going to be really interesting to see how much more he's back there, especially if Jackson keeps slowly progressing. Because, I mean, obviously with a hamstring, it's one of the worst injuries you can have because you always feel like you're ready to go. And there's a lot of times where you can re-pull it, and it's really a bad deal. So it's going to be fascinating to see how it pans out going forward with Emeka.
Yeah. Who would you put back there in his place? I for one would love to see like a Jaden Ballard back returning. But I guess who would, if you had kind of like one person to replace Emeka with returning?
I think JB is the guy. I mean, JB is the guy just because he's been in the program year 2. It would give him a clear, concise role that he doesn't have right now. He did it in high school. I think he'd be really good at it in college. It would get him some more touches because, frankly, he doesn't really touch the ball much outside of recovering an onside kick. And I think that it would, when you're a guy that, is kind of the next man up, I think these guys, they pay a little bit more attention during the game. They're a little more locked in when they know that they have like a starting position. Now, it might not be starting on offense or defense, but starting as a punt returner is still, hey, I'm in on, every fourth down. I'm coming on the field. And, like right now, I think JB, he rotates a little bit to give these guys a little bit of a rest, but he's never the primary guy. But you're the power returner, you're always the primary guy because they're kicking the ball to you. So I think he'd be a great guy to put back there. For whatever reason, they haven't done it yet. I don't know if they don't trust him or what the deal is, but I think he'd be the perfect guy to take Emeka's spot as a punt and kick returner.
Agreed. Said it perfect. Took the words right out of my mouth. I would before we sign off here, there's one other one I would give out just for the one play I remember very vividly. Mayan Williams, the long non-touchdown run, but you look back and Matt Jones was just a few yards behind him, So he was hustling. So I'd give that man a stick or two, just for the sheer effort given on that run.
Yeah, I think I know the run. Is it the run that was down towards the close end of the stadium? The run to the left.
Yep.
Those guys. Donnie did a great job on that. He kind of it was interesting. He kind of released flat like it was almost like a screen toss, and he was able to get it to the linebacker. The guy that was the force player, the safety in the hole, missed the tackle, which made the play way better because he had him kind of dead to rights unblocked, and he missed the tackle, and then Donnie got a piece, and Matt was trying to get in front of it, and mine just blew past him. But credit to Matt, he was the right guard backside, and he was able to climb all the way up to the far left side of the play, and just kind of seal something off. But it's hard when you got mine running past you. People think you look slow, but he was just trying to get that touchdown making block near the end. I think he went down at like the 2 or 3 yard line there, and then they ran a sprint out to the right, and then they punched it in, just running ISO to the left, which they should have just did on the first play.
Yeah. I mean, you got to get the man his touchdown after a run like that. So great
Absolutely.
to see it. And as always, Kirk, appreciate you jumping on and sharing some of your insight here. That's going to do it for us today. So thanks again, Kirk. And with that, thank you, Buckeye Nation, for listening and or watching, as always. For more great Ohio State content, be sure to download, like, and subscribe to the Morning Scoop podcast, available wherever you listen to podcasts, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, of course. Of course, all of this and so much more is always available at buckeyescoop.com. So while you're there, do yourself a favor, check out the Ask the Insiders board and join the incredible community of Buckeye fans on the most premier site for all your Ohio State needs. I am your host, Ryan McClincy, and until tomorrow, go Bucks.
Yeah.